Welcome to my channel. So last time I was looking at getDir. I was looking at the getDir function from the InfiniSils. Well, it's just something that he uses in the... I'm still not sure why. What does it do actually? But anyway, it's written in Nix. And this is like 7 years ago. getDir. So I was going through the getDir function, making some kind of a getDir that constructs an attribute set of a given folder, recurses on directories, and okay, value of attributes. Attribute set is the file type. So file type in the sense it is either a directory or a file. Then it collects all files of a directory as a list of strings of paths. So I guess it excludes the directories themselves. And then it filters out directories that don't end with Nix. Or are this file. What do you mean filter out directories that don't end with Nix? I guess it's just a weird way to phrase this. So I'm just looking at this and trying to like make so we have a dir, right? It's like the X. It's like the identity function, right? So we have an X and a 2 and a 1. And we get back a 1. This is the identity function, right? Identity XX. How many times I've written an identity function? Identity hello. Right, but identity my dir. So my dir is a test directory I created in the getDir. So the identity of the my dir is basically the path, the absolute path, right? So the identity of the relative path, it gives me back the absolute path of the my dir. Home, stable, joy. Code, getDir, my dir. So basically dir, we could do it like, it could be called dir, my dir. Right. Now, it's basically, yeah, this is the identity getDir function. It doesn't do much. It doesn't read the directory, just gets the path name of it. So we could even call it getDir is dir. Right. getDir. Wait a second. getDir is dir. And then getDir, my dir, it gets the path. So this is not really, but we have a built-in read dir. We got to use that to read the directory. So then I guess the next step is getDir is dir. We have a lambda head as the directory that we're going to pass into the getDir function. Right. So instead of this dir, so the my dir goes inside, we drop the head and we leave it here, and then it outputs us a longer, an absolute path of the my dir. But if we had getDir is what? Dir? Then we should have also dir, right? But how do we read it? Well, we would have to do something to it. So that means we have to put a function here, built-ins read dir. I guess this would work like this. So built-ins read dir. So getDir is dir, and then built-ins read dir is a function that we're going to apply now in the body. So now we have a more complex, so it's not anymore the identity function. It's almost like I don't know, would this work like double and then X, right? And then you would have times 2, you could do it like this. X. Yeah, this wouldn't work. How would you make this? Well, you could do double is x 2 times. You could do it like this, 2 times x. Yeah, so 2 times is built-in redir actually. So like, it's not, but like double 2, we get 4. So 2 times 2, right? 2, we drop the head, 2 goes to x, 2 times x. So now we have the same thing with getDir, is we have the dir and dir, right? So the directory goes here, we drop the head. So what do we do with the dir? We want to list the contents of the dir. And that's where we get, yeah. So now if I do getDir, my dir, we get this a text regular subdir directory. I guess this regular or directory is in the built-ins readdir. Actually, give me some info on that built-in, on that. That's from Nix language. And there are some default values or naming there, how to call it, such as regular and directory. Yeah, I know there is in Nix packages manual, I think you can. Wait a second. So built-in's readdir path is one of the built-in functions that Nix lets you call at evaluation time. It doesn't read file contents. It just asks the host file system what is inside the directory you pointed at and returns that information as an attribute set. So that's important. So if A contains a regular file B and the subdirectory C built-in's readdir A, yeah, this is what we got. The keys are the directory entries. File or subdirectory names. So these are the keys actually. Yeah, so we get the keys, a text and subdir. These are the keys. So I think the file is in double quotes. The keys are the directory entries, file or subdirectory names, and the values are small string tags that tell you what kind of entry each one is. Value string, meaning on POSIX systems. Regular, a regular file. Directory, another directory. Symlink, a symbolic link. Unknown, anything else. These 4 strings are the only possible values. So you can safely pattern match on them. Typical patterns of use, get just the names. Files, built-ins attribute names, built-ins readdir modules. Oh, wait a second. Attribute names extracts only the keys, giving you a list. And that's interesting. Could we chain things like this? If getDir of my dir gets us this, could I do like a built-ins attributes, attribute names, and apply that to getDir my dir, like this? Oh, interesting. Look at this. So we got the built-ins attribute names, a text and subdir. So that's the same as we were with built-ins attribute names, and then built-ins no, we had dir, built-ins redir, dir. Oh, but you see, these are, if I just write like this, my dear, it wouldn't work. Expected set but found a function. So I guess in double parentheses or what? Built-ins attribute names, and then like this. Built-ins redir, dir, my dear, like this. Oh, like this. So right, the built-ins attribute names is being applied to this, but we gotta put these guys. This is being applied to this, and then we have to put all of that into parentheses. So I have to have two parentheses. Now it's an anonymous function, but if we give it a name, as we did, a text and subdir. Import every Nix file in a folder. Yeah, this is the similar kind of a function, but is Nix file name built-ins match Nix name null? Names built-ins filter is Nix file built-ins attribute names built-ins. There's a lot of built-ins map things to remember. Yeah, maybe it would be interesting to see how this function would be written actually in other language. So let's get back to our getDir. So yeah, yesterday I was going through this, and I really like going through this because I don't know, it's, yeah, I'll just keep on doing this. Built-ins attribute names, built-in my dear, a text. It's just that I want to understand better. I want to understand better. Let's just keep on doing this. I'm trying to like make small, but it's really going slow. getDir map address. So we have a built-in read dir. So I wonder, recursively constructs an attribute set of a given folder. I've seen programs that do this. Some kind of yeah, I've seen some Nix tools on GitHub that recursively construct an attribute set out of like a file directory structure. I've seen their Nix tools that actually do that. I forgot, I saw recently one. Could you look online? So it's like the getDir function, but kind of the programs themselves, the tools just construct the entire directory structure of a project into a like a Nix file that, you know, the sub attribute sets are like the subdirectories and such. Could you look online? What are some of these tools? So, okay, so we have a getDir, built-ins, readDir, dir. That's a lambda. Now, map address. What is the next conceptual, like map address? Wait, this is too much. Let me relax and chill something. Yeah, I'll just have to do this again with below are the most common directory attribute set helpers I bump into when combining through modern Nix projects. I order them from built-in and always available to fully featured third-party libraries. Lib file system packages from directory recursive. Walks a tree of Nix files and turns it into a nested attribute set that mirror the folder layout. You supply a call package like function so every file is called with the right arguments. NixDir, convention over configuration layer that builds an entire flake from a directory hierarchy. You only drop files in the right place. NixDir, oh yeah. A plugin for flake parts that simply calls the function above flake parts. This is something I want to check. There's a plugin for flake parts, calls the function above and flattens the result, so every derivation is also available under packages, subdir packages. Oh, from prof patch. Small snippet. Look at this. This is interesting. This is like more evolved getDir. Let's check it out. Oh. check more about this. And where is it? Come on, what's going on? So I'm gonna look at getDir recursively. Yeah, it's like it's. 2019 30-line pure Unix helper. It re-implements built-in's getDir with recursion so you can get a flat list of every file inside a tree during evaluation without depending on Nix packages. Slightly reformatted for readability. How you use it. Why bother? Performance. Is a concise dependency-free way to turn a directory tree into a list of paths, sources. Oh, interesting. Improve getDir performance. Built-in getDir currently performs stat calls for each directory entry. This is bad enough that Akropotkin works around getDir with a generated file. A fast getDir may allow Nix packages to replace all packages Nix over time. Project that the Nix packages architecture team is researching. Interesting. You see, there's so many deep dives about Nix. POSIX compatible. Fill the attribute set with thunks that call path type. Oh, thunks that call path type. This is kind of... And now I'm in a rabbit hole. Hello, rabbit. I'm proposing to add a new built-in path type that returns the node type, similar to the values returned by built-in's getDir. How would I check the source of built-in's getDir, actually? That would be nice. I should use this. Wait. Where do I see the source of built-in's getDir? I think it's on the GitHub. It should be on GitHub page. I should look at it. Maybe let's try to look at getDir. Wait a second, I have some news here. Thanks. Oh, this is my PR. Oh, that's the small thing I did with the... Yeah, this is a little PR I did. Like when it expects... It's been mentioned in discourse. Oh, Nix, I'm on the list. Oh, that's cute. Nix 2.29 released, release notes. Prettified JSON output. Improved continuation prop. Oh, that's my PR. Improved REPL by updating the continuation prop from invisible blank spaces to enhancing clarity while entering multi-line expressions. Wow. It's a really small thing. I'm just impressed because it's really nothing. Anybody could do this. I'm not, you know, I'm so silly about these things, really. I really wanted to be, you know, merge something into Nix. After, you know, being a hobbyist for like 20 years, it's just a kind of biggish thing, you know, for me. Improved REPL. Okay, REPL. Reduced timeout. So these are all the things that have been improved in 2.29. There's so much in Nix. I think it would be interesting to check out the Nix source for getDir. Yeah, anyway, so this release was made possible by the following 40 contributors. And there's me here. Nice. Okay, let's get back to the built-in. Built-in's redir isn't written in Nix at all. Yeah, it's a premop. I thought premops are written in C++. Yeah, that lives inside the C++ evaluator that ships with Nix. If you want to read its real source, you have to look in the Nix repo, not in Nix packages. Yeah. Okay. How would I look? I think in Nix, actually. I would built-ins redir. Maybe let's look at this. Let's check out redir. Premops. Premops CC. Static. Yeah, I don't really know C++, but I kind of want to at least look through it. Static register premop redir, name redir, args path doc. Return the contents of the directory path as a set. Mapping directory entries. Yeah, I'm just looking at. Hi, Debster. I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm just looking at the C++ code of the. Yeah, you know C++. So I was. Do you remember we were doing the built-ins redir, right? So you get a dir, built-ins. So built-ins is a premop, meaning like it's already in Nix. It's in the Nix. It's not a external Nix packages library that Nix uses. So it's like already inside Nix, and it's written in C++. While those functions in lib are written in Nix, this is written in C++. So if I do this, right? Okay, that's a lambda, but it just reads the contents of the directory. Yeah, this here, but it reads it and it makes an attribute set out of it. So I think this is the code. So I just look through this, you know, I don't really know C++. But this is not really static register premop. This doesn't sound like. Wait, yeah, I'm not sure. From derivation. Redir eval. What's this? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where do I find the code of this. Oh, look what it found. Lib expressions and premops. Clear continuation prompt. Oh, I forgot. How do you clean your Git? Git clean, clear a continuation prompt. Oops, I still have some left over branches, I think, in my source Nix. I want to clean my Nix repo and sync it up to date with the upstream. The static keyword in C++ has so many different meanings and uses based on the context. Yeah, but I don't think that's the code part. Wait a second, what do I do? Git remote. No, I have that git remote v git fetch all prune. Git fetch git delete local branches, git branch merge master. Why are these so long? What's the git? I forget. What's the git? I want to remove this. Git clean or something. Clean untracked files and build craft optional but tidy. This thing. Git clean. Removing result. Okay. And also this, a more complicated readdir. Fill the attribute set with things that call path type implementation 2, getDense or getDense64. Avoid readdir on large directories, generate a list of files. The readdir function is not crucial for the architecture team proposal. I'm a bit skeptical about autocall packages. It inherently makes any Nix evaluation take time linear in the size of Nix packages rather than the number of packages used by the derivation you're building. Yeah, all of these discussions are really Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll this is so a lot. I'm trying to find the built-ins. Clear out the cutter. I want to look through the built-ins. Built-ins readdir. Is it not here in the premops? Yeah, I'm just looking through this and trying to find where's the readdir. Premops. Yeah, I'm so bad at this now. There's so much context here. It's overwhelming. I'm not really making... Code TVL. The virus lounge. Why is it going to the virus lounge? Interesting. Those are the guys that I mean people that that do Nix with Rust. Twix, right? Twix people. All premops are registered as register primitives at the bottom of the same file. They're glued into built-in's attribute set when the interpreter starts. Prim readdir. Let's look at like this. Nix and like this. Is it this? This is the same file. Read a directory, static void prim readdir. Maybe it's this. Oh, it's this. Yeah, I found it. I think I found it. Read a directory without or static void prim readdir eval state const. Retrieve directory entries for all nodes in a directory. This is similar to get file type, but it's optimized to reduce system calls on many systems. Yeah. Yeah, this is not really. Hmm. Interesting. This is also interesting. This gist from Prof Patch, Proof Patch. Sorry. Yeah, very slowly. So, have you began working on your lambda calculus, or you were going to get that book, the Lambda Calculus: Introduction to Functional Programming? Where is this thing? So, I haven't started it. I'm trying to not take on so many projects. Yeah, you do have a lot of projects. You do have a lot of projects. So let's write again. Yeah, getDir. You know, I was thinking these are stuff that I should, do recursively construct some kind of a dictionary of a folder, right? Recurse, get some information, collect it into a list or some kind of, strings of paths, and then do some filtering and maybe more, functions. This is something I was thinking about this yesterday, right? This is something that, speaking even as a guitar player, this is something that you should be able to do, right? This is basically programming, At least, thinking like this. Do this and then do this, like piping of operations. And if you can't do this, I mean, what can you do then? I don't know, right? So that's why I'm stuck now with this getDir function. I'm going to be streaming for days. The getDir function. No, I just want to feel a little bit more fluent with thinking like this, and I don't feel fluent. getDir, dir map address file. But at least it's a little bit more clear after repeating it 100 times. Dir map address. So dir, the Lambda had dir map address. Map address. So this does not require a built-in, I guess. Now this file and type. File and type. I guess this can be anything. File and type. If type is directory. Yes, so this is one of the 4 things that getDir, that readdir can get. A directory, a regular file, a symlink, and unknown, which is all the rest. If type directory, then getDir. If type directory, then then he's implementing here the recursion. If type directory, then, well, then getDir yeah, I guess this is what's going on with this Nix REPL? Look at this. Wow. Then getDir like this. Dir and like this and a $sign and this also file. Dir file. So if type is a directory, then, well, so I guess the tricky part is then getDir. Well, this is actually, why is this written like this? Then getDir of another, then getDir of the same directory. So why is this? Yeah. Can you explain in the getDir function this part? Yeah, I'm just looking this dir and file. I guess this is a common way. No, it's not the bash function. Wait, I gotta stop this. No, it's not working. So I'm looking at this getDir, double quotes, $sign, string interpolation. Okay, that's string interpolation. Dir is the path you're currently processing, my folder. Right, that's the $sign, curly braces, dir. Now, $sign, curly braces, file is the name of one entry in that folder. It could be subdir. So dir slash file builds a new string, combining them with a slash. Okay, but what if there's a dir inside? What if there's a dir inside of dir? So without this line, you'd only ever see the top level listing. With it, you'll drill down one level deeper every time you hit a directory, building a nested tree. Yeah, subdir file inner. Each directory triggers another invocation of getDir on its own path, so you keep recursing until there are no more directories. Okay. Dir file. If type directory, then getDir file. Else type. Now you see this if type directory, then getDir file, else type. So then if it's a file, else type. Right, but we cannot just write this because this is a head, right? We don't have a dir here anymore. So dir should be like, it should be like this actually, right? Dir, the mapping, I didn't close, no actually, it should close it here and dir. So we have a lambda head, and the head is inside that we substitute, right? And here is a mapping function. But we do have to read somehow. We cannot just have a dir. It won't work. It's like this. Undefined variable map address. Oh, I think it's undefined because it's lib. Yeah, I cannot actually use it because that's why he wrote with lib. Could be. Oh, we were doing like this. Well, let's try again. Maybe it's okay to do lib like this and with lib. Let getDir is dir and map address file type. Right, so those are two heads. Now if file actually, no, if type is a directory, why not file? Yeah, I don't get it. Why would you have like built-ins map? Okay, why would you write two heads, file and a type, and then if a type is directory, then, you know, getDir. And the first one is file. Why not the first one if file is this? Yeah, I guess that's confusing. This is so bad. Okay, let's unpack that inner bit very slowly. There's only one function there. It just has two parameters. Built-ins map address, file, type, body, attribute set. Yeah, that's basically what we have. We have a file, we have a type, and some body with the function, what we're going to do, and that's going to be applied to attribute set. Now, map address takes two things. A function of two arguments. Here, we've named them file and type. So map address takes two arguments. For each entry in that set, it calls your function like body, file, attribute name, type, attribute value, and builds oh yes. So if type, we are talking about a value, not a name, right? Because that doesn't help us really. Because the subdirectory, we need the information if we are dealing with a directory or with a file. Not name doesn't help us. You know, like the directory name could be foo, but the file name could be foo. So then we still don't know if we're dealing with a directory or with a file. Rename for clarity. Name value. If value directory, then he called it file and a type. Maybe that's confusing. Either it's a file or it's a type. I think that's confusing because we have name and value. Maybe it would be better to have it name and a value. Oh, okay, that's confusing. Yeah. That's confusing a bit. If, let's change this actually. Map address, name and the value. Now, if value is a directory, then, you know, do something else. Then dir. It can just print a string after a boolean. So if value directory true, then write dir. Else what? Write file? Why not write file? But he didn't write that. It's right. What did that? If type directory, right? If value, let's say if value directory. Well, that's interesting. Value or a type, name or a type. Maybe let's change to type. Yeah, it's weird. Like this is a small thing, but do you call something a type or like a value? Then get, so if type directory, then dir, else type, else file. Well, not else file. Let's do it like this actually. So dir map address, name type, if type directory, then dir else file. We're gonna close this and built-ins read dir. And now we're going to introduce, it doesn't really matter what you name the heads as long as it makes sense in the context of the expression. Yo, I agree. I'm just being very pedantic. Very pedantic. You know, it's just, these are little, I don't know. Maybe I'm comparing this too much with guitar playing. You know, in guitar playing, you don't want to have any kind of mental. If you see that flow, yeah, I'm really not. I'm really going too deep with this. Not important stuff. No, it's like I read name and type, and there is file and value. You know, and I get, yeah, because it's written file, and we have also files and directories. That's why I got a little confused with that. Dir map address name type. If type directory, then dir, right? Else file. Built-in 3D dir. So this will be the most. This will be even a simpler one. But we have a let statement. So let this function. What are we going to do with this function? I could use it just like this, but how do I use this in reading? Maybe, yeah, I've in result. Can I do it like this? In result. And how do I do this? Yeah, I don't know how to do this. So how do I finish this? Result what? It doesn't matter. Yeah, right. I mean, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's convenient. You just need to call your getDir function on a real path in the in section and wrap it in the attribute set if you want to give it a name. Then dir else file built-ins in. Here we call getDir on myDir. Yeah, result getDir myDir. Okay. Yeah, this was very easy actually. But I have to put this in curly braces actually. Result is getDir on what? On myDir. Like this. Okay, so this works actually. Right? So if I do sh, no, actually I'll just do it like this. And I get a lambda. I still get a lambda. So it's not really reading it. If a directory, then dir, else file. Yeah, you see, it won't work like this. But if we change else type, if we put else type, right, like he did, no, we don't get it. If directory, then getDir. So like this. So dir. Dir and a file. File. Dir and a file like this. What is this? Maybe Tron vintage. Let's try again. Nothing. Why nothing is going on? Let's try Nix REPL. Yeah, when you do stuff like this, you see how little you know. So, dir map address. Dir map address. Name value. Right, name value. So right, so if name is directory, then dir. Let's try like this again. Else value. Else value, but this should be applied to built-ins. Read dir. Undefined variable map address. I think is map address in I think because map address is in lib. Maybe because it's in lib. A map address function isn't part of the core built-ins. It lives in expected lib. In your REPL session, you didn't import that library, so map address was undefined. Let lib import Nix packages lib. Yeah. Yeah, in Finicil we'll do stuff like this. So let's do let lib. How to import lib. Maybe there are like different ways how to import lib. Import lib. Yeah, this is like such rabbit holes with Nix. Map address is also a built-ins. Isn't it a built-in? It doesn't. Oh, that's you, Drake. I totally missed it. Map address is also a built-ins. So, but wait a second. Built-ins map address. But then why? I think because it's in lib also. So you don't have to use built-ins. Concat strings. Look at this map address. I think it's same with map. I think there's map in built-ins and lib also. Right? How do you import? I saw in Finicil doing this. Forgot. Let lib. Okay, let lib is what? Import Nix packages. Right, empty attribute set, and here the dot lib, like this. Oh, import it in what? In dir. Now dir. Really? Name type. Right. If type is directory, then just dir. Else file. Right. And then we do built-ins read dir. Dir. But do I pass it now the I'd recommend checking out Noogle. It's a useful site for looking for functions that exist in both lib and built-ins. Yeah, Noogle is. I know about Noogle, and it has this from too. This is nice stuff. Map address. So it takes two arguments. Apply a function to each element in an attribute set, creating a new attribute set. A function that takes an attribute name and its value. Name and value. Okay. Name and value. And returns the name value, the new value for the attribute. The attribute set to iterate through map address string any attribute set. That's the type. These are some of the examples. But you're saying it's a built-ins and lib. Name, value, name plus a dash plus value. And you give it a attribute set and introduces a dash, I guess, between the name and the value. So you get xfoo. Oh, okay. This is a nice example, actually. Look, implementation also. This probably, does this lead us to the source? No, it's not a link. Noogle is a cool site, yeah. So undefined variable map address. So Drake, I think you have a flake, right? I think you have a flake. Have you tried flake parts? Do you know about flake parts? I was kind of looking through. It just looks very interesting. Result getDir map type. So, but why is this built-ins? Yeah, think I'm kind of. I use flakes, but I do I do everything manually in terms of modularity. No. Everything yeah. I'm not sure what that means. What's going on with this function now? It's because the file itself is now a function. You are just calling it without passing anything in. But didn't I write here in the result getDir? Shouldn't it? See, these things. I feel so stupid when I do this. It's like. So it's lib with lib, like, right, let this function in result. Wouldn't this work? getDir, my dear? You say I'm calling it without passing anything in. How am I not passing in my dear here? It's because of lib. Ah, you mean you're saying this is why? You mean if I don't have this, then what? Look at this. Then what? Like this. Okay. Why is this not working? It's because of lib. Yeah, this is still way over my head then, you know. You've got a two small bugs here. Used file instead of name inside your lambda. Name type. You used file instead of name inside your lambda. You can use built-ins map address since lib map address is the same. Okay, but still, why doesn't it work? I'll try with that, but why doesn't it work? Your map address function is written as nix name type. So the first parameter is called name, not file. When you write file, it's simply undefined. Okay. You need to make getDir recursive with rec so that it can refer to itself inside its own body. Yeah, but isn't this already recursive? Wait a second. I thought this is already recursive. I'm calling it again here. You need to make getDir recursive with rec so that it can refer to itself inside it. Oh, so that it can refer to itself inside its own body. Ah, that's the problem. It cannot refer to itself. Really? So rec, just rec? No. No. The file defines a function that, so Drake writes, the file defines a function that expects inputs like lib. Since you're evaluating it without giving those inputs, Nick shows lambda indicating it's still a function waiting for arguments, not a final value. Yeah, you see, this is, man, I feel so getDir. So let's say I delete all this. I delete all this. Undefined name. Look at it, I can't write a thing now. Oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, not the best day. Okay, getDir, dir map address name type. If type directory, then getDir undefined variable. Wouldn't it work with the let? Let getDir and oh man, I'm like totally out of this. I have like a blank, it's just blank. getDir delete. Ciao. So can't I just have like, okay, let's say I have again, dir. No, I cannot have this, right, in a Nix file. Yeah, what can I have in a default.nix, right? I cannot have this. You see, okay, syntax error. Unexpected, expected, end of file, right. Like this. Multiple top-level expressions are not allowed. Variables need to be defined. They have to be. Okay. Yeah, I've confused this with Haskell. It's like in the REPL, or it was like that. Like in one place you need a let. Then first you needed let, then you didn't need a let. So let getDir, how would we write this? Let getDir is dir. I'm just doing basic identity dir. Let getDir is dir. Expected in what? In getDir my dear. Would it work like this? Do I have to write? No. Okay, it works. Thank you. So let getDir in getDir my dear. Okay, so let's expand on that. So dir built-ins read dir in getDir my dear, right? And let's put this here a bit. Now this should work also. Yeah. Okay, a text regular subdir directory. Okay. Now getDir beers. Okay, so we're gonna put these guys this into parentheses because we're gonna apply that to that, but okay, dir and then map address. But you see, it's saying to me, okay, you're saying to use built-ins map address. So dir map address. It's like writing a letter to map address. Dir map address. A long time since I've seen you. Dir built-ins map address. So now, okay. Now we're going to do name value. Okay, name and a value, two heads. Now, if value is set, not name, yes, if value is a directory, then, well, then we're going to call getDir again. We're going to call getDir again. This part is a little bit. Should I write here name? Name and value. Then getDir name value. Else value. No, else directory, then getDir name value. Wait, the name of the file could be, the name doesn't tell us if it's a directory or a file. The value tells us. So if it's a directory, then go inside. Else, a value is a directory, right? Else value? No, else name. Right? No, look at this. I'm still confused. It's so confusing. Yeah, I think I should learn more, just more basic stuff. This is, if type directory, then getDir file. Yeah, I see value is more confused. I like type. Maybe it's better type. File and a type, name and a value. Yeah, if type is a directory, then getDir file, else type. So it's not name, else type. Okay, and now actually we call else value on built-ins read dir in getDir my dear. But now this is not correct. Why is it not correct? Expecting, oh yeah, this is, we don't need this. Is it like this? But now this is not correct. I think I have to wrap it in parentheses. Yes, I'm going to do this. And maybe this. No. You were missing and parentheses after else value. After else value. Ah, you're right. Like this. Wait. Yeah, okay. Semicolon. Like this. And it works. A text code, subdir code. If we do strict subdir directory doesn't represent an absolute path. Look at this. While evaluating the attribute subdir, while calling the map address built in, while calling the readdir built in. I don't. Wait a second. Let's try to. The string should be dir name because you're combining both dir path and directory name. The string should be dir name. Interesting. Let's check this out. What's wrong with this? The string should be dir name. You said, why dir name? Ah, you're saying because but isn't this different than dir name? Yeah, I don't get it. You actually have two problems. getDir isn't marked recursive in Nix. If you want a function to call itself, you must write it as rec binding. Without rec, the name getDir is not in scope inside its own body. You build the wrong path in your string interpolation name value. Name is the file name, value is the type directory. Not a path segment. What you really want is to prepend your current dir and use the file name. Putting that together, a working version is wow, this is gonna be, I don't know. So it says that in getDir, my dear, name and a value, right? A value directory, then getDir, dir name, else value, built-ins redir dir, in getDir mydir. So he's just saying let rec getDir. But this won't work. This won't work with putting the rec there. I don't get it. Why am I so stuck with this? Recursively, what do collects, import valid files? Why do you keep on saying we have to add the rec? It doesn't. Look at this example. Yeah, the user seems frustrated. Yeah, I am. I don't know how would I even explain this to someone. It's just, we're so stuck with this. Since you're not in a Git directory, you'll want to quote myDir. Otherwise, Nix will attempt to look for myDir in the Nix store. How do you know that? Wow, what do you mean, to quote it? That's interesting, Drake, really? myDir doesn't represent an absolute path. Maybe I could just import it in a REPL. I don't know how to do that, yeah. How do I just define this function and then import it into a REPL? Create a file called getDir with exactly this content. Okay, stop using rec. Stop using rec. I don't get it. No, he's gonna make stuff up now. I'm so stuck with this. I feel like I should stop. Just, yeah, I did have a stressful day yesterday. Some kind of a bit off, really. anytime you want a binding to refer to itself, why the Infinicil module didn't need rec. When you write a NixOS module, the entire file is ultimately merged into a single recursive attribute set, so each top-level attribute can see every other. In that context, you can do lib with lib, getDir if, and it just works. But outside of that module machinery in a bare Nix file or the REPL attribute set, and let bindings are not recursive by default, you must opt in with rec. Yeah, I still don't get it. Why would it work like this? Why combinator? Yeah, right. I'm so stuck with this. Wait a second. Nix REPL again. Nix REPL. Dir map address name type if name equals directory, do then oh, we cannot call it again. Okay, then dir else type. Yeah, this won't work. Horrible. Dir built-ins map address name type. If name is the directory, then dir. So that's like the, maybe I cannot use that basic case. Else type. Dir. I should put all of that in parentheses if I want to pass it. Dir built-ins map address name type if name directory, then dir. Else type. Built-ins read dir. Like this. And then my dir. No, it won't work like this, of course. How would I do something like this? I guess this being stuck like this, and this is so boring, I guess, to watch, but it's I guess it's good to be stuck, I guess. Like this. I think before I would read sometimes way too much. You should just be stuck with this and, you know, you just need to wrap the entire lambda in parentheses. Then give it its argument and make sure your if is comparing against type, not name, and that your parentheses lines up. For example, in REPL you can do, yeah, I should learn more about Nix REPL. Can I do these things? Or on one line? Ah, so if I do like this, no. What is he doing with this? Dir built-ins map address. Right. We have a name and we have a type. Right. Now, if type is directory, then dir. Else type. Right, that's clear. And we do built-ins dir. Now, built-ins dir. Right, we close that too. And we give it my dir. So that should work. It does work. Subdir dir. So now instead of this, if we do built-ins map address name, right, and a type, if type is directory, then, oh, that's why we have to give it a name. Otherwise I would have to put the entire thing into parentheses. Yeah, getDir. Maybe I need a let here. I need a let now. I'm still in the same situation now. So let getDir is what? Now I think I don't need parentheses now. Map address, name, and a type. If type is directory, then what? Then getDir, and we call getDir again, like this, right? But yeah, what comes here? It should be the directory. But it's not the dir, because in the dir is a lambda head, and then in the lambda head comes an entire thing. Name and a type. Shouldn't it be a type? Dir. Why are you saying it's dir? I don't think it's dir. Why would it be dir? Dir is a placeholder for it should be a type. Isn't it like this, actually? I thought it's like this, type and a name. It can go in this dir and a name. Yeah, this is the confusing part. Like, I want to write type and a name, but I guess it's wrong. In getDir, my dir. Let getDir dir built-ins map address name and a value. If value directory, then getDir dir name. Else value. I don't think this will this work actually. I just want to copy paste it. I can't build really this. Let rec getDir equals dir. Right. Oh, I can't do this. Map address. Let rec getDir built-ins map address. Okay, let's try this again. Name and a type. Yeah. This is taking long. I think I need a break. Yeah. I need a break. I need to read through this a bit more, and I'll chat a bit with ChatGPT and just go over this function again. I'm really stuck on this, and I want to be stuck on this because there is filtering here, higher order functions, traversals, and stuff like that. And I should be really. That's what I was thinking, you know, solving this and that with Nix, but I should be able to do stuff like this. And it's funny this ends up being so hard, and I'm just like, it's too simple, but now it's like really hard. So I'm just gonna make a it's already 11, yeah. I'll see you next time. It's just slow, but it's okay. It's okay to have times like this, you know. It's important. So kind of like waiting for it. Yeah, okay. So that's it. Thanks, Drake and Dabster, really thanks for the help also. Have a nice day and have a nice night wherever you are.